Welcome to Comicazi Videodrome. That's Miracle Max.
That's Comicazi Mike, and we're here to talk to you about the comics you could be reading. New, old graphic novels.
By Crom, let's get started. One of my favorite Marvel characters is Deathlok.
Deathlok.
I love Deathlok.
See, when I was a kid, I couldn't get into Deathlok because he was like... I liked him. I liked when
you had the Michael Collins Deathlok, the '90s series.
No, I mean, no, I didn't read the '90s one. I was reading like stuff from. I read like because he was showing up all the time. Like the original one had a ton of guest.
Manning.
Yeah, Luther Manning had a ton of guest appearances and stuff.
Yeah,
and that's where I would see him, and he just always creeped me out.
That.
And I liked he was the one I do remember. Just an oddball issue of Excalibur had him, and they went to a dimension, and Captain America was Deathlok. I thought that was cool. And he had his gun and his shield. The shield was like a big buzzsaw. Anyway, Deathlok's cool. For those who don't know, Deathlok is like he's like in his original incarnation, he's like a cyborg zombie, and he's a soldier who doesn't really know he's dead. But this cyborg half of him is keeping him alive.
Yeah, it took the original Deathlok was in the Astonishing Tales series in the mid-'70s, and it took place in the future, the 1990s.
Right. They got all sorts of cool Deathloks, and I remember in Uncanny X-Force recently they brought him back, and they revealed that he is weapon infinity, so he is like where. Yeah,
they're tying him into the whole Wolverine program.
Yeah, well, the Weapon X program, which is actually the World, it's called, and they have like, Weapon X actually stands for Weapon 10, and there's also
Morrison did that, I believe.
Yeah, Morrison did that, and there's all sorts of different weapons, and they like Captain America has Weapon Zero, of course, but Deathlok is Weapon Infinity, and he's like a little he's just a concept that spreads itself throughout time. These weird little robots. But this one, he's a little different, right?
This one is published as sort of a response to the Deathlok appearing on the S.H.I.E.L.D. series, but it's different. This guy is Henry Hayes.
Yeah.
And he's a medic. He's a single dad, but he doesn't know he's Deathlok, so he's being used against his knowledge, his will. It's kind of the Manchurian Candidate meets RoboCop.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, and it's again, like we talked about when we were talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a great entryway for someone who really wants to get into Marvel Comics, but for the most part, has watched the TV shows and the movies, because he sort of spreads himself out into the greater Marvel universe, and there's been some cool appearances from other characters.
Oh yeah, like my favorite, like Liefeld era X-Force character, Domino. But she's cool because Nathan Edmondson's the writer on this series, and he does a really believable, great, like gritty, real world writing. And he does Black Widow and Punisher. Is it?
That's cool.
And here's his hat trick right here with Deathlok.
I like these covers too. These covers have like a real, like that issue. That's a great issue #1.
It's almost like Dave Johnson-ish from like 100 Bullets.
Yeah.
Kind of that same feel, but I think it's Mike Perkins who does the interiors, but.
That's good.
I think he may be doing the covers as well. Yeah, the whole cover design is great with the little target. There's always, well, not in those ones, but on mine.
I like the background though.
Yeah, that's total Dave Johnson right there. Yeah. But
and I like little Deathlok at the top. I
like the old 70s and 80s stuff.
Yeah.
That's, on my heart.
It's cool. I like
good book. These are the 4 issues that are out now at the store. Come on by, pick them up, or put them on your subscription list. Here's Tresha and Renee.
Hi, I'm Tresha.
And I'm Renee.
And at Comicazi, supporting your local comic shop means discounts for you.
Did you know that by subscribing to just one title, you are granted a 10% discount on all new comics and graphic novels?
We only ask that you stop by once a month to pick up your discounted titles.
We also offer excellent mail order subscriptions that are delivered right to your front door with free shipping included.
So support your local comic shop in a meaningful way.
Become a Comicazi subscriber today.
So, continuing on with our 100 greatest graphic novels in no particular order.
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Read these at your leisure. We have
Or
Bone. Read them. God damn it. I was going to push something. Bone. This is really cool. It's an all ages. It's our all ages title. We've talked about it before, but it is a fairy tale, very much. But it's written and drawn by Jeff Smith. It's one of the great creator-owned or creator-driven titles of the last
millennium.
Millennium. You could even say. I read it syndicated in Disney Adventures magazine.
Sweet Christmas.
I know, a long time ago. But it's really cool. Again, it's about these little guys. They're like, how do you describe them?
Casper.
Yeah, they're like little ghosts, kind of, but they're not. They're very much corporeal. But they're on a big journey. And like I said, it's a fairy tale, so sort of the goals and desires are really loose, and it's oftentimes, the journey is the adventure, Check it out. Really cool.
Done.
Check out our Videodrome about it, too. Over here, on our independent books, what do we got?
We've got Irredeemable and Incorruptible by Mark Waid.
Mark Waid
rules! This takes the Superman archetype and just flips it. Where, what if Superman were evil?
Irredeemable, actually. It's, usually with those stories of Superman was evil, it's like, but he's still Superman and he still feels bad and he has to handle all this responsibility too. He's irredeemable. He is a world dictator monster. And on the flip side of that, we have Incorruptible, which is about his arch nemesis doing his little turn on his head, and he becomes incorruptible. And he is just going to be a good guy. And it's a great little... It's 2 series, and they're very much intertwined with each other.
Yeah, it's...
tells a whole story.
It's a good read.
Tells a whole story of a superhero universe in just 2 titles. And
how does Mark Waid do it?
Because he's the man, and he's got patience.
You know who else is a man? Talking about many men? X-Men?
X-Men?
Would be Grant Morrison.
Oh yeah, Grant Morrison's X-Men is actually the comic book that made me love comic books.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it came out.
I did not know that.
Came out right when I was in middle school, that sort of teenage years, and it made the X-Men seem really, really cool and classic. It's very much an X-Men best of, which is what...
It came out right around the time of the movie, the first movie, the Bryan Singer movie.
Yeah.
So it was a huge departure from
Scott Lobdell.
From what had come before with the shiny costumes and all that.
They were even different. They were more like
leather.
ninjas when Grant Morrison picked them up. They were always fighting like mystical ninjas.
A lot of people back in the day, like a lot of hardcore X-Men fans, dumped the book, but a lot of new people came into X-Men because of Morrison, and I like it because it's really I view it as the last X-Men story.
Yeah.
Which
is funny because
stuff.
it's sort of the beginning of a new X-Men continuity, which is interesting.
The X-Men never travel through time or do alternate dimensions and stuff like that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, not new continuity, but I'm just talking about new history of what's really important to the X-Men franchise, which is sort of Professor X. He's got his little team of mutants, but he has his own demons in his past, and it really broke up the Scott Summers Jean Grey relationship, for good.
Yeah,
it hasn't... I forget how old this book is, but it's got to be close to 10, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship hasn't really come back. Jean Grey's come back recently, but anyway, new X-Men, check it out. We always got it on some sort of deal at the shop. Really good stuff. And moving on to another guy who people love, Alan Moore. He's good. He's a good writer.
He's okay.
He did the best stuff ever, but it's cool.
Watchmen is kind of popular. People like that. It's all right.
I actually like Swamp Thing.
I think Swamp Thing is better.
Swamp Thing's the best Alan Moore story because it's him. He starts it off, and you know what? It stays in the DC universe. It's very much the start of that Vertigo line of books.
Yes, very much so.
They take old goofy concepts that like Swamp Thing, and really give them a weird, realistic, real world, kind of sci-fi veneer.
It's
but
metaphysical.
It is. It's really cool. It walks the line between science fiction and fantasy so well.
Mm-hmm. It's whimsical. It's metaphysical. It's
a lot of Freak of the Week stuff. I know we talked about that.
But it's also very much a thinking man's comic book.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Not that you don't have to think.
It's kind of like
not read.
It's kind of like the Hulk. It kind of reminds me of the Hulk. Swamp Thing reminds me of DC's Hulk,
except with no pants.
With no pants, he's got plant pants.
Plant pants.
And this sort of, again, like, is he a man? Is he a monster? This sort of puts that question to rest, but at the same time, makes it really cool. And it's got all sorts John Totalbane and Rick Veitch. Did I pronounce that right? Veitch?
And Steve Bissette.
Steve Bissette, yeah. The great art. John Constantine, one of my favorite comic book characters.
First appears
in Swamp Thing. So if you want to get on the ground floor of some of the coolest characters in DC Comics.
The swamp floor.
The swamp
floor.
Bottom. The boggy bottom. Check out Swamp Thing. So Videodrome is filmed at Comicazi in Somerville, Massachusetts, and we got awesome stuff. We got new toys, old toys, new comics, old comics, subscriptions, an awesome eBay store. Check us out. We are the best comic book store on the East Coast, bar none.